Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday to you, this middle of the week day here, next to the last day of March. Really hard for me to believe that is the case. Almost a fourth of the way through the year, the first quarter just about behind us after tomorrow into April. And Easter is right around the corner. I've got my coffee this morning, as I hope you do, or whatever you like to drink, kind of get your day going. I guess by 10 o'clock, hopefully your day is going and you're off to a good start. But never hurts to have that little pick-me-up for the busyness of the day today. I just mentioned a second ago, Easter is right around the corner. It's actually about 2.5 weeks away. The 17th, the third Sunday of April, will be Easter Sunday, and so we're planning toward that. It's really a highlight of the church year, a highlight of the year, not just because of the activity that goes around it, but because of the meaning to it. And in significance, it is the most significant, in my view, observance of the Christian church. Much more significant, at least theologically, as far as I would think about it, than even Christmas. And it has a bonus on Christmas in that we know, particularly this year, because the calendars sort of line up, the time of year when Jesus was crucified and when he died, because it's around the Jewish Passover. And so the weekend before Easter, that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, somewhere in there, is the Jewish Passover. And it was around the Jewish Passover that we know Jesus was arrested, crucified, and then rose again, which is the celebration of Easter, the resurrection. If Christ is not raised, our hope is in vain, which is why it's so very important to us as believers to celebrate that together. We're going to get to do that in our kind of traditional ways. We're this year able again to have our sunrise service at John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park. They have been so gracious, and I'm so thankful for the management there that allows us to come in early on Easter Sunday morning and set up and have a sunrise service there. We're going to have some baptisms there again this year, and there are no restrictions. Like last year, we limited the number of people who could come because that's what the park told us, but there are no restrictions about that this year. So Easter Sunday, April 17th, 6:45 a.m., our sunrise service starts at the beach, the far beach at Pennekamp Park. And then we'll be back here for our Easter Sunday worship at normal time, our 9 a.m. time. But I want to tell you about a couple of other things coming up around Easter. One is our kids event. It's actually going to be the weekend before Easter, Palm Sunday weekend. Saturday, the 9th of April, is our Easter egg event for the kids. It's Saturday afternoon, 4:30 to 6:30. We'll have the egg dyeing stations like we've done, the different creative ways, tie-dye and different things like that to dye your boiled eggs. Make sure you bring those boiled eggs with you, kids. And then we'll have the little farm here. I think we're going to set up the bounce house that we have. We'll have some stations with like snow cones or cotton candy and the like. So it should be a big event. Hopefully you can come and join us for that. But the one I really wanted to spend my time on today mentioning is our Good Friday observance. It's going to be different. In the past, we've done a service on Good Friday. Sometimes we've done a Passover type observance. Other times we've done a different service. We're not going to have this year sort of a service for Good Friday. We're going to do something completely different. Never tried this before, but it's not a new idea. It's actually based upon something called the Stations of the Cross. If you're familiar with that, maybe you're from a non-Baptist background. Baptists don't really talk about the Stations of the Cross very much, but Catholic and some other more liturgical expressions of Christianity talk a lot about the Stations of the Cross. It's related to, by the way, the Way of the Cross, or I brought my brochure from my trip to Israel a few years back, the Via Dolorosa. The way of suffering, or the way of grief, is what that means in Latin. And this is the path that you can go in the streets of Old Jerusalem. This is the brochure you get when you go that shows you the various sites in Jerusalem that mark the way of the cross, or the way of suffering, or the stations of the cross. It's called various things. There's actually 14 stations traditionally of the cross that mark the journey Jesus took from his trial before Pilate to his crucifixion and burial in the tomb. And so in Israel, in Jerusalem, you can go to 14 places along this particular road from the Antonia Fortress, which is just outside where the Temple Mount is, where the temple used to stand, and you go through the roads and you end up at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is where traditionally the crucifixion of Jesus and his tomb are located. So you can take this tour. Anybody that goes on a Holy Land tour probably does this as part of their time in the city of Jerusalem. But that is not accessible all the time. And so the Stations of the Cross also express themselves through typically paintings or sometimes even stained glass windows. I believe if you go to one of our local Catholic churches, you can see the Stations of the Cross there, sometimes depicted as these 14 places that have pictures depicting the 14 stations, the 14 steps along this way that takes Jesus in that traditional order, starting with his trial and ending with the tomb. We're going to use that as sort of an inspiration, but we're not really doing it exactly like this. First of all, we're only going to do 10 stations, not 14. And we're going to invite you, if you'd like to be a part of this, on Good Friday in the afternoon and evening from 4 to 7 is when we're kind of timing it, to take a journey to the cross, to follow in the footsteps of Jesus through these 10 stations we'll set up here on our church property. Through different rooms and buildings, you'll kind of weave your way around to follow the path Jesus took. We're going to start at the Last Supper, at the observance he had with his disciples of the Passover. We're going to start there and make our way through 10 stations through his crucifixion and being laid in the tomb. That's what we're going to do on Good Friday. I'm hopeful it will be a very meaningful time of reinforcing the sacrifice that Jesus made for us on that Good Friday. And so we're trying to create in those 10 stations a very interactive opportunity. You'll physically have to walk a little bit. You're going to be some in our fellowship hall. If you're familiar with our church property, you're going to start in our fellowship hall. You're going to go out through the office area, do some things in the breezeway, and end up in here in the church auditorium on a couple of the stations here. So it's going to take probably 45 minutes to an hour to do that. To go through all of the stations. Like I said, there's 10 stations. So if you figure it takes 3 to 5 minutes at a station, that's 30 to 50 minutes, depending on how quickly you move through. And so that is the plan. So we wanted you to know about that. And one of the reasons we want you to know about that is because we think it's going to be a meaningful experience. I'm prayerfully hopeful it will be a very meaningful experience as part of our Easter weekend festivities here, Good Friday, 4 to 7. But also because we're going to ask you, it's a free event, it's not ticketed, but we're going to ask people that want to come to sign up. In fact, on our website, we've got the ability to sign up to pick your spot. And what we're doing is every 10 minutes, a group of about 6 is about the max we're going to put in a group, is going to start at station 1 and make their way through the 10 stations, the journey to the cross that we're going to do here. And so if you go on our website, and I'll put the link in this so you can see it and you can click on it, you'll see that every 10 minutes, 4 o'clock, 4:10, 4:20, 4:30, you can click, and there's 6 availability stations. From the first one is at 4, the last one starts at 6:50. But obviously if you start at 6:50, you're going to be here 45 minutes or to an hour from there. So it'll be closer to 8 before that group is done. But that's the end. That's kind of what we're doing. So I want you to know that we want you to sign up for that. There's in that sense limited spots, 6 times 18 spots. You can do the math. I think that's, what is that? About 108 people based on that schedule we think can go through this and have the time to do it. Now maybe we'll be able to work in more people and between groups. We're not sure, but we're trying to get kind of the sign up first to help space out. We don't want everybody here to show up at 6 o'clock or 5:30 and just kind of overwhelm it. So we're trying to space it out. So if you would help us, if you're interested in having a chance to go through this Good Friday experience, if you would do us the favor, go on the website, sign up. If that is kind of, you can't figure it out, please feel free to call the church office, and we will make your reservation. We'll kind of put you down, let you know what's available, and put your reservation in. Again, it's a self-guided. You're gonna spend your own time. There'll be devotional thoughts at each station. There'll be sort of a setting at each of the stations to help you kind of get in that moment of what we're remembering on that Good Friday. And then there'll be many interactive elements to the stations. Not necessarily everyone, but several of them will have things that you will do to kind of participate, to identify with, and to follow in the footsteps of Jesus, to really bring to our minds and bring to our sort of in our recollection the enormity that was his sacrifice and his actions for us to provide for our salvation. You know, this Good Friday and Easter Sunday weekend, as I said already, is central to our faith. If those events aren't true, we're wasting our time doing this church stuff. I might as well go find another job, sign up and be a barista at Starbucks, because you know how I feel about coffee, or something else to do, because this is a waste of time. But we believe and we think there's witness of a history that tell us that Jesus did live and die and rise from the grave. And so our faith has that firm foundation. So what we do in these Easter activities is try to connect ourselves to those historical events, those things that actually happened in history. Again, we have written record of it. Yes, in the Bible, of course, but the Bible, don't think of it as just some arbitrary made up book. These are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, book of Acts. These are eyewitness accounts of people who were there writing down what they saw and heard. And the early church exploded in growth because those early disciples, as we've been studying the book of Acts on Sunday morning, said that they're just simply saying what they've seen and heard. That was the message of the church. We often think about Christianity, we want to tie it to maybe pithy sayings, religious sayings, or good moral teaching. But the true basis of the Christian faith is the life, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus. And so that's why this Easter service, not just at our church, but as a church, the Church Universal, believers in Jesus Christ everywhere, is so foundational to our faith, because we remember what happened in history 2,000 years ago. Again, you can go to Jerusalem and see some of the places that these things actually happened. And when the early church was preaching the message of Jesus, one of the things that Paul would say, or Peter would say, is, he's preaching in the city that a few weeks ago Jesus was crucified in, and a few blocks from where Jesus should have been buried but wasn't anymore. So the veracity of the accounts is really remarkable that we have to build our faith on. And so that's our plan around Easter. Palm Sunday weekend is our kids event, Saturday the 9th from 4:30 to 6:30, and then Good Friday 4 to 7. Please, again, I'll put that in there. Sign up. Make your reservation to go through our journey to the cross that's based upon the idea of the stations of the cross, if you're familiar with that. And then Easter Sunday morning at Penny Camp, and at 6:45 on the beach, and then back here at 9 o'clock as we remember and celebrate the resurrection of Jesus, that foundational event for our faith as Christians. Well, just thought I'd kind of make this more about a promotion of what we're doing today, because, as I said, we're just about 2.5 weeks away. So wanted you to know what's coming up. Hopefully you can get involved. And again, those links are right there with this video on Facebook or wherever on our church website. If you don't see them, just go fbckl.com and you'll say Easter 2022. Click that and you can see kids event, Good Friday, Easter sunrise service. You can get all the details there. Like every Sunday, this Sunday, 9 a.m., it's first Sunday of the month, so we'll be taking communion together, the Lord's Supper together. Love to have you join us in person if you're available, or you can stream our service online through Facebook or our church website. Either way, hope you're having a great Wednesday and a great rest of your week, and maybe we'll see you as we celebrate the resurrection in just a few weeks together. Take care, everybody.